Alright, so before I'll say anything about Omori, I'm gonna say that there will be absolutely zero big spoilers for the story of Omori in this video. The only footage shown will be from the trailers, and I will not, or barely, talk about the story. The goal of this video is simply to voice my opinion on the RPG side of Omori, but the story will come up, since it's an incredibly important part of the game. But no details will be mentioned. This should be obvious, but even though I won't mention any big spoilers, if you haven't played the game, you still should before watching this video. Believe me, it's worth it. Hiya, I know there was a bit of a serious introduction there, but if you haven't clicked off the video yet, welcome! You might be a bit confused by the title, although you may have some suspicions as to what I'm about to say, but don't worry, all will be made clear in time. And I want to get this out of the way now, I love this game. So even if I might come across a little harsh, that's just because of the topic of the video, alright? So, let's begin the usual overview. In Omori, you play as Omori. Shocking news. As Omori, you will go around the world with your friends in search of, well, another friend that has gone missing. On the way, you will meet some weird and wacky characters such as Space Boyfriend, Sweetheart, this Sprout Mole, this other Sprout Mole, this Leaf, and finally, this Sprout Mole. But the way through the world is not so simple, as you'll have many battles on the way, with many enemies in your path, such as this Sprout Mole. No, seriously, I'm not kidding. The game is actually an RPG, with different stats, equipment, level ups. But you see, that is only half of the game. Depending on the route, but that's a different can of worms. There's a whole second side to Omori, which I will appropriately call the life sim. Yes, all the RPG stuff is all in your head. This is the only thing I'll say that could be considered a spoiler, barely. You do have fights out in the real world, but these are without any experience or whatever, so it doesn't really count. In the real world, you'll do stuff like hang out with friends and meet other people. You can deliver pizza too! Yay! And there it is. That's my reason for the title. That's right, the life sim part of the game is the real game. I already said it before, but the biggest and most important part of Omori is its story. And most, if not all, of the story takes place in this real world. The dream world, well, it's certainly there, I guess. I'm not the only one that has these kinds of, I guess you could call them complaints about the game. No, many people have said that the actual RPG aspect of Omori is kind of lacking in quality. But why do people say that? Well, let's look over all of the battle mechanics in Omori. At first glance, it can feel incredibly complex. You have the standard RPG stuff, stats, and equipment and whatnot. But Omori differs from other RPGs with its emotion mechanic. With certain moves and items, you inflict an emotion on a character. This can be happy, angry, or sad, and each one has a different effect on the character it's applied to. That's not all though, because emotions are also effective against one another and vulnerable to the other one. I might be bad at explaining it, so I'll let the game do it for me. Here, a handy chart where all the emotion effects are displayed. Just pause if you want to go through them in detail. Omori also has follow-up attacks. Each character has a different kind of follow-up attacks, and these all have different effects which you can play around with. And these also get updated to be stronger as the game goes on. Now, with all of this, surely Omori's combat can't be boring, right? Right? No, that's where you're wrong. I really hate to say it, but the combat is kind of boring. The only highlights are the bosses. Normal enemies can be defeated relatively easily by just attacking normally. And the bosses, while different, are sadly not very hard. Except for the extra bosses, which I shall not mention. And for me personally, Sweetheart is my goddamn rival. Even though I only died to her like twice, those two deaths live on in my head every waking moment of my life. And you know why? Because that's the only place where I ever died in the game. Again, not counting the other route. The bosses do actively use the emotion system, especially Sweetheart. God, I hate her. But with you yourself, being able to manipulate your own team's emotions. Battles are never really a struggle, even if they do use the emotion system. But back to the whole story being the biggest thing in Omori thing. The story is the reason anybody plays Omori. I'm pretty sure I haven't heard anyone recommend this game for its RPG aspect. And compared to the story, the RPG side seems kind of useless. Sure, it adds to how Omori, or Sunny I guess, sees the world. And yes, there are a lot, and I mean a lot, of hints to what happened in the past in Omori's head. But those hints never have anything to do with the actual fighting itself. I know that the reason for all the fighting you have to do can be explained by Omori not wanting himself to find the truth. But come on, that doesn't really change the flaws of the actual battle mechanics now, does it? Just to be clear again, I really love this game, and the RPG side of it is definitely worth it to experience the story. I'll even say that it's a nice break from all the story events. But no matter what, I can't help but think that there could have been a better way of fitting in the RPG side of things. So, thank you for watching this video of me being incredibly harsh on the game. Wow, I really went off on it, huh? Anyway, if you want to hear more random words coming out of my mouth with seemingly no order to them, then consider subscribing. Well, I'm gonna go now. Goodbye.